Okay, the topic of my speech is, should the United States abolish the death penalty? Now, the death penalty has been a controversial issue for some time. For several reasons, it has faced a lot of opposition. Now more recently than ever has it faced a lot of opposition because of the economic situation that our country faces. At one time, it was supported by a lot of powerful people, politicians, prosecutors. These people imposed the death penalty at one point, and they supported it. But now they find themselves opposing the death penalty, once again, due to our economic situation. Death penalty, it is a very expensive process. One person in particular, John Van de Kamp, former California Attorney General, and I quote, "With California facing its most severe fiscal crisis in recent memory, with draconian cuts about to be imposed from Sacramento that will affect every resident of the state, it will be crazy not to consider the fact that it will add as much as $1 billion over the next 5 years just to keep the death penalty on the books." End quote. John Van de Kamp was a former district attorney of Los Angeles as well as a former attorney general. As one person, he obviously opposes the death penalty, when at one point he was for it. Now, people are for and against the death penalty for different reasons. I'm going to name a few reasons as to why people are for the death penalty. One reason is an eye for an eye. If someone murders someone, he too shall be killed. It brings total justice to the families. Secondly, to impose the death penalty on one person eliminates the possibility of him getting out of prison earlier than the rest of his life. New laws are made, old laws are rewritten. So when one person is sentenced under a set of laws, and 10 years from that point, those laws change, that person can appeal his case and potentially reduce his sentence. So he may not face the full amount that he was sentenced with. Third, these people believe that the death penalty acts as a deterrent to future criminals and future murderers. There are several ways and a lot of less costly ways to impose deterrence amongst criminals. Brings me to the other side of the argument, where that is against the death penalty. We need to abolish this death penalty because it's so expensive, it's time consuming, and in the end, it doesn't do what it's supposed to. The system does not work the way it's supposed to. So we're putting all this money into the death penalty system. Yet it's very seldom that someone is convicted and sentenced with the death penalty. As of today, California has 678 prisoners waiting on death row to be executed. Yet many of those prisoners are appealing their cases. Millions are being invested into appealing these cases, retrying them, and searching out the forensic evidence, having to reestablish jury panels. He needs to have, the defendant must have 2 public defenders at his side. So the state is paying for the prosecution and the defense at the same time. So a lot of money is being invested. Another side is wrongful conviction. Yes, there's criminals out there. They do crimes. But you need to go and impose a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Now that's effective because out of the 678 people that await death row, there's bound to be a handful of those that might possibly have been wrongfully convicted based on the biases that stand for, whether it be their color, poverty level, the areas that they live in, inner city people where crimes are committed. So to eliminate the factor of killing an innocent person, it's safer to impose a life sentence. More importantly, it's cost effective. I'm gonna read a few statistics here that will shed some light on on the amount of money being spent on the death row, on the death penalty. the state of Maryland, for a non-death penalty case, it's $1.1 million per year, opposed to death penalty, which is $3 million. California, if prosecutors went after a life sentence for criminals opposed to the death penalty, they would be saving $125 million per year. The death penalty needs to be abolished. The money is being poured into that, in which it can be poured into an educational system, healthcare systems, these things that will better people. Instead of spending all this money into killing a criminal, let's invest the same amount of money into making an American life better and enriching the lives of the young children in our educational system. We need to abolish the death penalty. Thank you.